Hey, what's up? Adam Lobo here from Adam Lobo TV. Now, first and foremost, thank you so much for checking out my 22-minute in-depth review of the iPhone 13 Pro and the Pro Max. Now, in case you have missed it, I shall put a link at the card above and the description below. So, as mentioned in that video, I decided to divide the iPhone 13 reviews into two parts. One was the Pro lineup, and right now is for the consumer lineup or the non-Pro lineup. So in this video, I'll be reviewing the iPhone 13 mini and the iPhone 13, and you know what? These two phones are bigger than you think. First, let's recap on the specs of the phone. Now, like the Pro models, both the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini comes with Apple's A15 Bionic 5nm chipset, but compared to the Pros, it comes with a 4-core graphics GPU instead of 5, and instead of the 6GB of RAM on the Pro, this non-Pro version has 4GB of RAM, and you can choose between 128, 256 and 512GB of storage. So yes, there is no 1TB option, where it uses an NVMe type of storage, being the only smartphone in the market which uses this kind of storage. And as of the recording of this video, the software is at iOS version 15.1. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That is quite a spec reduction compared to the Pros, right? Well, you're in for a surprise. So how's the build quality and the size using it daily, especially for the iPhone 13 mini? Well, since the iPhone 13 has the same dimensions of the iPhone 13 Pro, while on paper, the spec sheet says that it is lighter than the iPhone 13 Pro, but personally, I did not feel much of a difference in weight comparing this with the Pro variant. Now, as for the iPhone 13 mini, the experience was very similar to the iPhone 12 mini since it had the same form factor, and I have to say that even though I'm such a huge fan of a big screen smartphone, there was something very interesting that I found using this phone daily. Now, firstly, because of its smaller size, it was super easy to take out from my pocket at any point of time, and there were even times which I barely felt it's there. Second of all, using the phone in a one-handed usage was such an easy experience compared to its elder siblings, where it feels extremely natural and easy on the hands. Then thirdly, initially I thought that I would struggle on my typing experience using the phone daily, but to my surprise, I barely made any typing mistakes or typo, where usually I would use the Gboard app as my primary keyboard setup, but I found it quite easy using the Apple's default keyboard when I was using it daily. And finally, of course, you will see a huge difference in weight when you're using the iPhone 13 mini compared to all of the rest of the iPhone 13 lineup. Now, in terms of the color options, the iPhone 13 mini that I have is the midnight color, which looks like a dark navy blue color in bright daylight, where it looks almost jet black in the dark. Then the iPhone 13 that I have is in pink. A very appealing choice if you're looking at something a little unique, or if you are just a fan of the color pink. Yep, I'm looking at you, T-Bun. Then compared to the Pro variant, this non-Pro variant had a glossy back instead of a matte finish, so keep that in mind when it comes to attracting your fingerprints. But what I've done is to put on my clover colored MagSafe silicone case just for me to have that added grip on the iPhone 13 mini, and the product grade silicone case for the iPhone 13 when I was using it daily. Also worth mentioning, in case you did not know, that all of this non-Pro variants is also IP68 dust and water resistant. Now, as for the phone's displays, as mentioned, or in case you did not know, that every iPhone 13 lineup has the same display type, which uses the Super Retina XDR OLED display with Dolby Vision, but you'll find a tiny bit of a difference in the screen resolution just on paper. And once again, you won't really see the difference, to be honest. And the iPhone 13 has a 1170 by 2532 pixels, and the mini has a 1080 by 2340 pixels. Now, like the Pro, it had amazing color accuracy, and both versions do very well in terms of visibility during very bright outdoors. So there is absolutely no issues over here. But where the Pro variant has the added advantage of these two lineups is the screen refresh rate, where these two phones has a 60Hz refresh rate compared to the ProMotion 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. Now, if you put the Pro and the non-Pro side by side, you will see a huge difference in terms of the overall motion. But when it comes to navigating, as I mentioned before, that this 60Hz refresh rate on the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini, or even the previous generation iPhone 12, is still one of the best 60Hz refresh rate on any smartphone out right now. Now, since the iPhone 13 was pretty much like how I was using the iPhone 13 Pro in terms of video consumption daily, so the experience was great. But as for the iPhone 13 mini, here's where I did find it to be a little small when I was doing my cardio sessions in the gym. But the quality of the playback was really nice and bright, especially since there's also Dolby Vision on the iPhone 13 mini, so it's great to watch HDR or any content when it comes to streaming on Netflix. But besides video consumption, I did find that using apps like Waze was fine, and I really enjoyed my experience using the Mini daily since the phone's screen has the highest pixel density of 476 ppi compared to any other iPhone 13 lineup, so it was pretty sharp indeed. Now, before talking about the quality of the pictures, let's first talk about the brand new camera arrays at the back. So one thing that I really want to mention is why is it now placed on a diagonal position compared to vertically like the iPhone 12? Now, contrary to popular belief, Apple has changed the camera arrangement or the camera arrays not for the sake of changing the design, but the real reason was because of the addition of the sensor shift technology, which was only available in the Pro lineup for last year's iPhone 12. Now, if you're not familiar with this technology, it is a very unique sensor that instead of using lens stabilization that you would find on other smartphones, it is the sensor that moves, giving you a better stabilization, which is only available in high-quality mirrorless cameras. So, if you did not know, now you know. So, as Lee Hood would say, TIL or Today I Learned. Now, in terms of the camera specs, both of the lenses are the same as the Pro variants, just a slightly higher aperture value, and of course there's no telephoto lens, where the main lens is a 12 megapixel f1.6 aperture 26mm wide lens, and the second lens is a 12 megapixel f2.4 aperture 13mm ultra wide lens. And the front cameras of all the iPhone 13 lineups are the same, which is a 12 megapixel f2.8 23mm lens. Since you're looking at a very minor difference in the f-stop value between the Pros and the non-Pros, you will expect a similar experience for the ultra-wide lens and the main lens with consistent colors and high dynamic range and details for all of the shots, especially for the portrait mode as well. Now, you will find the same photographic styles as mentioned in the Pro variant to change between all the modes since it is a software image processing feature. And while I did not really miss the telephoto lens as much, but what I do miss is the macro mode, as this is a feature that I gotten to really love in the Pro variant, which is not available in this non-Pro variant, so keep that in mind. Now, as for the night mode photos, even though the aperture value is higher, but the photos coming out from the camera was still high in quality. Then, since the selfie cameras are identical with the Pro variants, expect some very high quality selfie shots on the regular selfie and of course the portrait selfie as well. Now, as for video recording, like the Pros, both the rear and the front camera can record up to 4K 60 frames per second, and the video quality was really great, especially the image stabilization as well. And once again, the dynamic range for the front camera was just mind-blowing. Similar tests which I've done on the Pro Max, where it is really great when it comes to taking against a harsh daylight, when the sun is even against you. Now, since the cinematic mode is also a software feature and not a hardware feature, I really felt that this cinematic mode was really great both on the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini. And if you are looking to be a content creator, you want to make videos on YouTube or any other platforms, I think that this cinematic mode would be great to start doing so, where even in these shots, this Halloween theme shots that are done was using the iPhone 13 as well, which in case you've missed it, I did a YouTube shorts on this, which I'll link it down below. And also worth mentioning is that if you are familiar with ProRes video, it is not available on the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini, but like I said, the image quality or the video quality still look very great. So overall, I would say that yes, you won't get a full-fledged camera experience on this non-Pro versions, but I humbly believe that what the main lens and the ultra-wide cameras can do on these two phones are still really amazing, as these Pro features on the camera may not be something that everyone really needs. Now, as for the phone speakers, the stereo speakers are available across the board for all of the iPhone 13 lineups once again. And what's new is that the earpiece or the speaker on top is right in the middle compared to the previous models, so the notches are slightly taller. Now, when it comes to the sound quality, the highs for the vocals and other frequency notes within the music was perfectly balanced on the iPhone 13 due to the size of the phone. And while the output is louder on the iPhone 13 mini based on my dB measurement at 96.8 dB on the mini compared to a 93.3 dB on the iPhone 13. Now, this is because that the highs are pretty loud to a point where it can influence the overall output of the phone. But here is a quick sound test for each phones. So if you're enjoying this video so far, a nice big thumbs up would be very much appreciated, and a subscription to this channel would be very great too, so thank you in advance. Now, as for the phone's battery, looking at the iPhone 13, it comes with a 3240 mAh of battery, and the iPhone 13 mini comes with 2438 mAh of battery. And as mentioned in my Pro video review, that the battery size of iPhones is totally not comparable with any other smartphones because of the amazing efficiency of the A15 Bionic chipset, so don't even compare with that. Now, in terms of the amount of screen on time that I got on the phone, there are significant improvements for the phones compared to last year's model, so Apple was right when they mentioned, especially on this iPhone 13 mini, where I got an average of close to 5.5 hours of screen on time when I was at 10% battery with dark mode turned on, and sometimes even more depending on how heavy that I use the phone daily. Then on the iPhone 13, I got a crazy better average of 8 hours plus, sometimes even 9 hours of screen on time when I was at 10% battery with the same dark mode turned on, making the regular iPhone 13 to have the best battery life compared to other iPhone 13 lineups, and this could be due to the 60Hz refresh rate screen and of course a bigger battery. So yes, here's where you'll need to make a decision based on that, because the iPhone 13 mini seems to last just before the end of the day, but the iPhone 13 gave me about 1.5 days, and I'm very sure that you can get even more than 1.5 days depending on how heavy that you use the phone. And also worth mentioning is the fact that the mini has fast charging up to 18 watts compared to a higher 23 watts on the iPhone 13, but both are the same for the MagSafe wireless charging at 15 watts and Qi wireless charging at 7.5 watts. So yes, it is pretty obvious that the iPhone 13 would be a better choice if you need a really good battery life, but you can obviously still use the iPhone 13 mini, but keep a power bank around you if you're looking to be out the whole entire day. Now, as for software, I went deep into everything that I love about the latest iOS 15 in several of my past videos, including the Pro review. Now, everything from the focus mode, the smarter notification and SharePlay are all the features that I really appreciate so far, and I did not find any issues using the phone daily, especially on the smaller screen on the iPhone 13 mini. And with this new smaller notch, there was quite a huge difference for the overall app usage when I used the phone daily compared to the previous iPhone 12 mini, so that was a huge plus for me. Now, as for gaming, what's interesting is that even with the 4-core GPU compared to the 5-core GPU on the Pro variants, it is still the best GPU on any smartphone out right now, where both ran great on Genshin Impact with high settings at 60 frames per second, with motion blur turned on instead of off like how I tested out with other smartphones. Now, there were no major battery drains after using the phone for gaming for close to half an hour, which was really nice to know. And the overall colors and textures during gameplay was as good as the Pro lineups. Now, as for PUBG Mobile, the gameplay was obviously smooth and very optimized for even a lower spec smartphone. Now, both phones ran the game nice and smooth and graphics set to Ultra HD. And what's really nice is the fact that both phones never had any overheating issues, just like the Pro siblings. Now in terms of the physicality on playing games on the phone, although it comes with a smaller screen on the iPhone 13 mini, it was still quite nice to play on, and playing games on the 13 mini felt like it was on a portable console. Now this is because the screen quality on the mini was still very great too, but yes, the overall gaming experience on the iPhone 13 was definitely better since it had a very good balance of a nicer handling and also a screen size as well. So in conclusion, if you ever wondered if the non-Pro variant are worth the money, I would absolutely say yes to that. Now as I mentioned that both the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini is surely bigger than you think, and it is still one of the best performing and selling iPhones due to the most affordable price factor. Now while some may say that the updates are just minor, the real updates like the screen, the battery, the cameras are all changed, and that upgrades are the ones that counts the most as a user upgrading their phone anyway. Now if I really had to choose between these two, because I'm such a power user, I would go with the iPhone 13, but the iPhone 13 mini has a special little place in my heart because of how unique the phone is, and it is indeed currently the most mini-size powerful flagship smartphone. And if the rumors are true, you might not even see an iPhone 14 mini. So just in case, if you're thinking to get the mini, this might be your final chance, because if you're a fan of a small phone, you will surely enjoy using it. But with this review, do let me know which one would you choose as your daily smartphone, the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 13 mini. Do let me know at the comment section below. Now once again, if you haven't checked out my review of the iPhone 13 Pro and the iPhone 13 Pro Max, I will link it at the card above and also at the description below in case you would like to go with the Pro route. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful in making your purchase decision. If you did, a nice big thumbs up would be very much appreciated. My name is Adam Lobo, and I'll see you in my next video.